The role of human geography is becoming increasingly prevalent in the 21st century due to increased pressures from rising sea levels, significant population growth, and the increasing severity of natural disasters. This presentation will highlight how geography will require more collaboration between physical and human geographers in order to protect populations in a changing world. With rising temperatures due to anthropogenic greenhouse gases, along with a changing lifestyle for many developing countries aiming for a higher consumer-driven way of life, the world as we know it is changing. It is therefore vital to understand the relevance and importance of geographers to help aid global problems. This presentation will address three areas: the role of geography in sustainable tourism, how geography can influence politics, and the role of various stakeholders. These all require research to protect tourists and to ensure the best outcomes for whole populations in this changing world. The United Nations has four key principles, and two are particularly relevant to the importance of geography: ensuring equal rights for all people, as well as maintaining international peace. This presentation will demonstrate how in a changing physical world, where culture is combining into a singular consumerist culture, geographical research is relevant to protect the human rights of all individuals and to attempt to influence politics for a more beneficial outcome.
One of the main roles within human geography is to research and promote sustainable tourism.
As mentioned by Jeff Main through his study in Malta, sustainable tourism is vital if we are to protect small island communities, especially those susceptible to natural disasters. Within a changing world, geographers are aware that the climate in particular is changing rapidly, possibly at a rate which will make these changes irreversible. With climate change, natural disasters increase, as well as a rising sea level, which both affect small island communities.
Additionally, the main source of income for these islands is from the tourist industry. For example, in Iceland, the tourist industry contributes to 10% of the total workforce. This industry mainly relies on volcanic hazards, but there is uncertainty as we cannot control nature. For example, when Eyjafjallajökull erupted, it caused an ash cloud which resulted in cancelled flights, and therefore it prevented tourists from contributing to their economy.
We additionally looked at a small island closer to England, being the Isle of Wight, and how it's made efforts to be more sustainable to the consumers, as well as how they can make more sustainable choices. Their particular focus over the last few years has been reducing vehicle emissions and encouraging tourists to use other forms of transport on the island other than cars.
The introduction of the Green Island Award Scheme highlights these changes and how the Isle of Wight are governing in order to make this sustainability more accessible to all. For example, it mentions how the improvement of signs and cycle paths encourages tourists to use alternative modes of transport.
The scheme also attempts to establish the Isle of Wight as a premier green destination, showing how geographical research has emphasised the importance of schemes that attempt to mitigate tourists' carbon footprint. The Isle of Wight Council has also cut their carbon footprint by 65%, showing how sustainable tourism has also impacted the general sustainability of the island.
Therefore, using Jeff's example of Malta, along with our own examples, it is evident that human geography promotes sustainability and therefore encourages people to choose tourist destinations and travel itineraries accordingly.
Geography is a key component in many political decisions and actions, and therefore has the role to influence politics in a changing world. Tim Marshall put forward the notion that geography does not dictate the course of all events, but great ideas and great leaders are part of the push and pull of history, yet they must operate in the confines of geography. Thereby, the location and access of natural resources play into the confines in which geographers and governments can act. For example, the paper from Kennedy et al. On Malta provides evidence of this action, in whereby it states around 60% of potable water consumption is provided by reverse osmosis, with a fourth plant currently under construction due to its particularly poor for water resources. The role of physical geography, therefore, is to influence the government to change the site of the fourth plant because of it being exposed to natural hazards, which is mentioned in the paper, or to provide protection for the site, for instance, a tsunami wall. Also, human geography has a role to play in making sure the resident population have a correct perception of the risks, and this can be achieved through influencing the government to adapt the educational system. From my own research into the topic, I found that during the Indian Ocean 2004 tsunami, the Somalian government issued no warnings, which led to the death of 300 people. This evidence can be compared to Kenya, in which their government warned the population of the tsunami and issued evacuations, causing only one fatality after taking advice from geographers. Evidence in this case study suggests that geography does have the ability to influence government decisions and thereby politics, as it can reduce the risk of disasters if their advice is acted upon.
In a changing world where there are increasing problems, human geography is vital in influencing politics and implementing policies. At the moment, the world as a whole is experiencing issues with population, and specifically Japan is struggling with an aging population. This aging population has caused for there to be a high dependency ratio, and being aware of this dependency ratio, we as human geographers can create new policies to help combat this. With this high dependency ratio, it means that there are less people in the economic workforce, and this causes there to be a reliance on the workforce. With this knowledge from human geography, we can then recommend policies which would benefit Japan and include the introduction of technology used in hospitals. This technology would target both the youth and the elderly, which could have a positive impact on the population of Japan as a whole. An example of this technology could be AI robots, which can answer questions, provide accurate diagnostics, offer research, and train new employees. This influence in politics and policies portrays how human geography has a vital role in our current changing world.
In addition, the interview we conducted with Jeff Main emphasised the importance of stakeholders collaborating in times of natural disaster and other forms of natural crisis. This was explored further through the Kennedy et al. 2020 paper, looking at stakeholders' natural hazard awareness and vulnerability of small island tourism destinations, focusing on Malta, with the UN World Conference on Disaster Risk Reduction aiming to reduce disaster risk by sharing the responsibility between a range of different stakeholders. This is an important area of geographical research.
This is a clear example of how geographical research can be significant to entire populations and aid institutions. In this instance, the Maltese government and aid organisations have been provided with further information demonstrating the risk of which tourists may be in. As previously mentioned, increasing global temperatures will result in more severe, more frequent natural disasters, such as the storms experienced in Malta. And this highlights how human geography has a particularly important role in trying to protect increasingly more vulnerable populations from natural disasters. There is further research required to identify who is responsible for individual tourist preparedness in order to protect individuals.
Furthermore, we found further evidence of successful collaboration between stakeholders in the municipal waste management sector. Instead of solely blaming individual consumers for poor decision-making and a lack of information, some suppliers have accepted combined responsibility, which Welch et al. In the 2018 paper identifies as a discourse coalition. This is an important and relevant topic as there is a positive relationship between income and waste identified by Lepowski. With increased wealth, as countries continue to develop, geographical focus onto who is responsible for household waste is important if individual nations are going to reduce their waste and aim for a more sustainable future. Geographical research has highlighted the successful collaboration between competitive stakeholders through shared information and collaboration with consulting organisations to decrease waste. In a changing world, it is important that different stakeholders continue to be accepting to collaboration so that action can be taken to prevent significant issues in the amount of waste and where and how it will be disposed of in the future.
To further develop the point of collaboration between stakeholders in order to increase sustainability, AGEM in 2008 introduces the Just Sustainability paradigm, which aims to ensure a better quality of life for all through the collaboration of social, economic, and environmental factors. As a result, sustainable consumption results in a responsible use of services and products which bring a better quality of life, whilst also minimizing the use of natural resources in order to not jeopardize future generations. Overall, we must extend our research beyond environmental sustainability and into just sustainability to understand how stakeholders within socio-economic sectors contribute to waste management.
Therefore, based on our interview with Jeff Main and the points discussed, it can be concluded that human geographies play a prominent role in our changing contemporary world. This has been consistently highlighted throughout our presentation as we noted its influence on sustainable tourism, politics, and the roles of stakeholders.
However, the discipline of human geography alone does not fully understand the changing world. Instead, there should be more references to other disciplines in order to get a holistic view of how to combat changes in the world.
Additionally, there should not be such a differentiation between human and physical geography, but rather they should work together to make more reliable conclusions for the future of this changing world.